So again, Russell, what broke it down was the regional bank sector, number one. That's kind of, we've been talking about this and looking if it is going to break out, it should have gone and it didn't. And here we are. Let's take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Dow Jones Industrial Average had great volume. Mine showed a divergence, not to be a buyer up against, again, a longer-term pivot resistance. Quarterlies here too. How much lower can we go? We're against a rising MA. Now, again, anytime you're going to see a major top in the market, it's very unusual to see a V top, a spike top, a longer-term top. So to me, this is going to be a process if this is the end of the rally of all ages, which I don't see, but I see a temporary pullback in the market. How much more could we pull back here in the Dow Jones? The Dow could probably pull back. I don't know. There's a gap down here, 331. That's 700 points. Easy, but will it do it immediately? That is a big old magnet right there. You could clearly see on your chart. So that might take a little bit of time. We did get a low close doji. This one's a little bit bigger. In fact, if you look at the 1-to-1 risk reward ratio on the Dow, we're sitting here at approximately, just to double check, the close was 338. The high is 342. That's 4 handles. So that's 334. And just a little bit more than 334, 332, 65, 333 in that range. What's 4 points from 338? 334. What's around 334? Just slightly underneath 334 is the gap. So again, one mechanism suggests that we've got about a 400-point downside action, and that's, would be expected. So I'm not sure if that's going to be a 3-day sell-off or what we're going to do right there. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ 100. NASDAQ 100, again, there was no volume on the upside. There was not a lot of volume yesterday, according to my indicator. The McClellan oscillator was showing divergence, not to be a buyer up here. Okay, great, fine. It did break the zero line. A one-day close does not guarantee that we're going to see a massive crash. So I'm not really one that's expecting a massive crash in here. A doji there, a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio as well. If you work with me here again, you might see a little bit more downside in this because lately it seems in the last few years, according to my analysis, we're pretty good on direction. We're okay. I'd have to give myself a C plus on price projections because markets tend to overshoot the runway a lot lately. I don't know if that's extra market participations. When I said the market could go to 409, 414 in the SPYs 3 weeks ago, I meant by May, not in the next week. And that's, again, we went to 418. So I was way off. Good direction, wrong timing, and magnitude of upside. Speaking of the market, here it is. We were talking that if we got a breakout, 409 to 414, and it should happen by early May. It took approximately 10 trading days, 2 weeks, excuse me. I wasn't all that horrible, but it wasn't that good either. Now what are we looking at? A one-day break of McClellan oscillator. To me, it's just a matter of don't get too bearish in the hole. I think this is a buying opportunity down here. What sectors? Sectors should be considered, and we've got earnings this week, and next is the big one. So basically, you do ironically have a bullish seasonality for the main indices. They're not, they're still up from April's takeoff, but regional banks, we'll take a look at that. Large banks, which we had exposure with USB, US Bancorp, as well as Citi, which we have a protected collar on, and we're going to take advantage of the downside action from our average long versus our put option. So if you take a look at our position, you can either do it by the table here, or you could look at I do it as a courtesy. It's triple work, tells you what we did the prior week. I tell you what the current positions are in case someone doesn't want to skim through all this. You can see where our entry is, what our long price is, where your stop is, what we did we add, did we get out of half, blah, blah, blah. The date of the exit, we're still in. If it's green, it was profit. If it was red, it was a loser, and there it is. A lot of our options, some of them did not make money. Our other options that lost were hedges. So it's all tells you what's all in the newsletter and the positions. And then the cumulative profit, you can always take a look at that. And then the individual dollar gain and the percent gain on every trade. It's pretty transparent. The trade in Citi, by the way, we're long from $70.21. We have a 71.5 collar that we got paid for. We didn't buy that put. We got paid for it. We had a credit. So the moral of the story is we bought back the 74 short side yesterday. And then today, what I want to do, if the market opens lower and trades lower, I want to take the money out of the put option and put it in the pocket and then jam a stop down below on Citi. That's my 2 cents there. On US Bancorp, we're still in a profit. Our stops, it didn't move enough for me to break even, to move the stops up to break even, but we're up, I don't know, like $1 or something like that. Insight, we didn't get filled on the, that's why it's only a 50%. Some of you guys did. That stock is up. We need to raise that stop probably today. Kraft Heinz, shortage of ketchup. I don't know if I buy the whole story, but anyway, it is a story, and there's a shortage of condiment, and I'm not sure that's a new story. It's an old story, so I'm sure things will change. We here in Florida tend to have like really good weather, and we produce a lot of produce down here in Homestead, Florida. I know some people think that farms don't exist anymore because it's all houses, but it's not. We still have a lot of produce. Strawberries, you'll probably get your strawberries from Florida. You'll probably get your tomatoes this time of year. And as the spring starts to progress northerly, other crops are in. Don't forget about the hydroponic farms that grow indoors, et cetera, et cetera. So any event, the ketchup scene, I don't know. Mustard might be a different story, but who uses mustard as much as ketchup? I mean, you don't put mustard on French fries after all. Anyway, don't want to be funny. We did get stopped out of American. I didn't have a huge stop on that. I'm not too happy about it, but I didn't want to risk that much in terms of percentage. It was a little more than I wanted. We got filled yesterday on our half position on Schlumberger. Nordstrom's we're clinging on to with the seat of our pants. Let's see. ConAgra's up a little bit. Williams and Company, we can't do anything there. Molson is up a little bit. We raised our stops to lock in a profit, letting it run. Kinder Morgan, and then there's Walgreens, which we raised our stops. And again, on Gold Miners GDXJ, we have a hard stop in there. Whew, wow. What now? PayPal, looking for that 258.80 area. That's 259 to 258. I looked and I went and I put the bid in a little bit closer to the 259 is I just wanted it a little bit above 258.5, and I figured dimes is okay. Usually I'll go pennies, but dimes are all right there. 258.80 is the number. I think that's relatively safe. And I said yesterday and the day before, if by chance PayPal, we get down there in the right conditions, we could look at an option strategy instead. And I would go with, believe it or not, a June to maybe a 270, 290 this time around. I want to get paid for the last loss, and I want a profitable position to allow me to make money rather than just break even. That's my 2 cents. So I want to go through the newsletter. And again, yesterday, I guess we could go through a couple little things. First and foremost, Netflix lost some subscribers. I've been talking about a lot of these names that I'm not a big fan of, but, from an earnings play perspective, I didn't really see anything that I was really active, engaged in on the breakdown. to get into a strategy right then and there. But we're going to be kicking off earnings seasons right now. So again, I have enough on my plate rather than engaging newer positions as well. So that, and also on a side note, my time is constrained to what I can do. So long and the short of it is, we've refrained from trying to get into positions I won't be able to monitor or help with. Bottom line. What does that mean? AKA getting older, doctor's appointments getting in the way of this week's trading opportunities. As far as a top-down approach to the market, we should see a little bit of relative weakness. Yesterday, I came in late in the afternoon and I said, hey, guys, you want to sell up around, look for a pop up around 41.28 or so. To me, I thought that was interesting because, I mean, if I take the if I take this chart and I introduce you to the algo room, this is exactly what the market did yesterday and sold off on the close. And I said 41.28-ish area would be a good short. And I said that yesterday on a rally. You still want to sell rallies. I mean, look, we went right up against where there was some selling pressure. So I want you to notice yesterday there was selling pressure. The market went down. Today, they had some more selling pressure. Market went down. It took out the highs. Anyone that had stops took out the highs by what? A couple points, ticks, I mean, and then puked. Bottom line, people are looking to sell up here. I'm going to put a green line on this because when you get a higher time frame breakout close, now look at the 5-minute closes, fails. There's closes and then next bar rejection. Do you see what I'm pointing at? I'll turn it on to a candle pattern. Green candle, red candle. Green candle, red candle. That's called fail. If you didn't understand my English, it's F-A-I-L. What happened to the breakout, John? It failed. What's that mean? Spell it, F-A-I-L. It doesn't get any plainer English than that, right? So if you buy a breakout instead of selling a rally, you're going to have problems up until, and I want this to be completely disclosed, my guess is a couple things. The market just paid the market paid you for free information that I think is pretty decent, okay? So let's take a look at the trend line. If the market can close, oh, come on, Lord, please work with me. We're back to the same nonsense. Edit the trend line. Let's see if we can go and, well, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time here doing this, but I'm not going to put up an alert. I'm going to put an orange, and I'm going to go and I'm going to extend it to the right. There we go. Now, if you notice that we've never been able to close 2 bars in a row, 1 bar closed greater than, and that's a last conditional change off that high. Gee, what a magical mystery tour this could be, right? Now, this is a 5-minute ES. It closes once, gets everyone all warm and fuzzy, and then just jams you right straight, smacks you in the face. Looks like it's going to break out, hits the stops, look like now I got to get in, and then immediately slaps you in the face. So what do you think would be a just logical, if the market's going to break out, what would be logical that you would want to see? My guess is 2 bars, at least 5-minute, and if we change the time frame, even a 15-minute bar gave a false breakout. Interesting. Okay, so let's go over and look at 30-minute bar. Same thing. Wow, isn't that funny how that kind of can work out? Now let's go to my favorite time frame of all, 60 minutes. And most people won't wait the 60 minutes because it's too much risk. You got a 60-minute bar. So look at this. A 5-minute, a 15-minute. It happened right at a time frame that's important on multiple, I would have to say, traders' horizons. You got the day traders, you got the scalpers, you got the wee people, you got the big people, you got 60-minute models, you got all these people, different guys that are all looking for breakout in different time frames, and it all failed on the exact next bar. And that was at the top of the hour on the ES, because remember in the futures, it's top of the hour when the market opens, not the bottom of the hour like the cash market. So the point being is, if we're going to see an upside move, it better come in the regards of 2 60-minute closes greater than this said channel, or a real special super duper buy signal at lower levels. What would be a super duper buy signal for me? A dump, a high close doji on a volume convergence, and that's the end of the story. All right, so I'm going to change this back to what it was. 5-minute hourglass. We're back in business. Okay, that's my 2 cents of that orange line. So if someone comes in the room and they go, "What's the orange line?" Just say, "Go review the videos. Thanks for showing up late. John's already done his deal." I don't need to say anything more than what that line is. I think it's self-explanatory, but I think it helps traders to say, when is it safe to get back in and buy the dip? Right now, it's not a buy the dip. It's a sell the rally. 41.28. Well, it kind of made me look stupid yesterday because the market went up to 41.31. So I was off by 3 S&P points and looked for sell signals there. But I wanted to show you something that was unique, is that yesterday, that 28 to 31 area was resistance, and then they took it out and went up to 32. What was it? 32 and a quarter for the exact high, I think it was. I could be wrong. It was 32 and a quarter. Excuse me, what did I say? 31? I meant 32. For God's sakes, person. 32 and a quarter. That was a false high. You want and need a close, in my humble opinion, greater than that last conditional change on 2 60-minute bars, or a great buy setup. And hopefully I'll be here today a little bit longer than the insidious doctor's appointment. Once was the follow-up. One was an optometrist follow-up for the Johnson & Johnson shot I got. Obviously, you could tell why they would be concerned with the people that, you didn't hear much about those people either. I'm not sure where that all stands. That got buried with the other news besides Netflix earnings, the trial that was taking place all over the place, as we all know. And sometimes news like that will supersede news that we would want to hear as well. So anyway, so here we go. I'm not upplaying it. I'm not downplaying it. I'm just saying there was news, and it took center stage, and there wasn't a whole lot of other news because that was the news. So that was the news du jour. My job is to come in and say, hey, when is it safe to get in? What do the conditions say? We've been claiming all along that this rally was on a weakening structure. Be careful. Certain stocks don't look good. We're seeing some relative weakness. I don't think the market's that bad. I think it's just a massive sell-off, a little bit crowded, blah, blah, blah. However, let's take a look. What is today again? It's not Wild Wednesday. It's Prince Spaghetti Day for you older folks. And here is a bunch of different sectors that are going to kind of rub me the wrong way. Aerospace defense got beat up because of, well, Biden policy dictates that they're going to do something. Just like tobacco, we had great looking buy signals and charts on some of the tobacco stocks, and it looked like Philip Morris was getting ready to go up. And then what happened? The Biden administration says they're going to do something to the cigarette industry and make them have lower nicotine content, and the whole sector just got beat to crap. So we are very vulnerable in our world for certain things like that. And, I'm wondering, just the way the market had a reaction, by the way, in that whole tobacco thing, somebody had to be with their ears to the ground on that. I mean, come on, really, right? I mean, you can just see the powwow behind in the White House and the Oval Office. Let's do something, blah, blah, blah. And then somebody knows somebody that works at a hedge fund and says, hey, they're going to do this. Like, that was probably, it's on the agenda. I'm certain that occurred.
33 calls.
And that happened to somebody.
May
but that's
14th,
okay, and that's not a problem. But and it's hard to prove,
contracts.
So why bother? But that would be the SEC's job. Needless to say, what I would tell you is when we look at some of these other spaces, the S&P small cap growth, Those are weekly sell signals. We also have aerospace and defense. We have the Russell. We have airlines. We have regional banks. On all of that, what a coincidence weighs right on the one guy, the Russell. So what do we want to watch for? Key reversals on regional banks. End of story. We want to see key reversals. But let me share something with you. The longer-term volume looks good. Monthly chart has a spooky little doji on regional banks. Are they played out? Is it April was supposed to be a good month? Seasonally speaking, they're supposed to be good. My guess is if we get too much of a downside, they should bounce back. But we're not
TXN,
in regional banks right now.
190
and so
calls.
therefore KRE
April 23rd,
is
2021.
not one that I would be looking to short or buy any
IQ.
regional banks.
16
But we are
calls.
starting to see some
May 21st,
turns in the market
2021.
on weekly charts, and I just wanted to bring that to your
528
attention.
contracts.
And I think as we move forward, anytime a market is going to make a top, it looks ugly, it retests the lows, and then they generally go back and take out the highs or test the highs or thereabouts. We had infrastructure spending. We had one of the most volatile stock environments that I've seen for individual stocks in an awful long time. I mean, breakouts to biblical proportions, pullbacks that were ridiculous, rallies that failed, and now we're right back to where we started. This is a company called U.S. Steel. When have you ever seen a steel stock make 20 to 30%, literally 20 to 30% weekly price swings? That's like a steel stock,
Dow.
right? This is not
calls.
an IPO.
April
This is not a
23rd,
tech stock. It's a steel stock. It's unbelievable.
600.
Anyway, energy.
BAC.
We have positions with Schlumberger. We have positions with
April 23rd,
which is down.
2021.
We just got filled.
1,000 contracts.
The long-term volume was what I was going off of. We are right against the rising MA and a high closed doji midpoint benchmark signal. So we are right at about
puts.
where we need to be.
April
if it's going to hold.
2021.
And anything lower, it's going to get uglier. So we've got
contracts.
crude oil sitting here at $61, and all of the energy sector is breaking down. Kinder Morgan's holding up relatively better than most of the other stocks in that sector. And then finally, the financials. The financials, this is the one right in here.
7th,
I want to get off the mic pretty quickly. And I want to be looking at buying back, liquidating the put option. They expire this Friday and then putting a stop in the market. So let's take a look at this chart on the weekly. There was a doji. It's warning of a PPS sell if it closes here or lower. So with the longer term volume, the question begs, and the momentum of the volume on a weekly basis really non-existent. The question now begs, is this the right move to get out of a put that's in the money against a long stock for protection? If it expired in a month, different story. It expires this week. If the stock runs all the way back up Thursday and Friday, right, and negates that low closed doji sell signal, which is possible, then it would have proved better to get out here with a closed stop and then examine the market and take the money off the table. That's my 2 cents. So longer term work suggests stay long. Intermediate term suggests, well, this market has had a habit before of low closed dojis. It gets down to support, and then the market has key reversals. And I'm kind of thinking that's about the game plan, and that's why I want to buy back or liquidate the put and put a stop, because if the market's going to be any good, we really shouldn't see it get below this last conditional change. We should hold weekly pivot support. We should hold against near the average of those old highs, and I want to stop underneath. So we can afford, if we get out of the put, take the profit, minus your entry, and if we're at 69.20 and you're in at 70, you're out a buck. Now you got, again, a 71.50 put, though, that's up nearly 250. I mean, for God's sakes, you can apply that and you have more breathing room to lower your stop. So that's the game plan with Citi, and I wanted to explain that to you. So let's take care of business first before new opportunities. But again, I think that the market here is setting up for a buy on the pullback.
197,807 shares.
I don't know if it's this lower open this morning or if it's going to be after first hour, but at the very least,
shares.
If the market gives you a 2-hour close greater than 41.30, you know you're safer to get back in on the long side of the market.
Shares.
That's my 2 cents. I'll see you guys in a bit because I am sending out the email alert to sell out the 71.5 put on Citi. Hopefully it stays, and I'll shut up and I gotta go so this thing doesn't run away from us.
219,613 shares. Equity block. MSFT. 214,731 shares. Equity block. AAPL. 280,740 shares. NIO. 45 calls. May 28, 2021. 600. BABA. 230 calls. April 23, 2021. 325 contracts. AMC. 9 puts. April 23, 2021. 500 contracts. MO 48 calls. April 30, 2021. 500 contracts. VIAC. 55 calls. January 21, 2020. QQQ. 325 puts. May 28, 2021. 602 contracts. AAL. 21 calls. April 23, 2021. 1,400 contracts. PLBY. 60 calls. May 21, 2021. 568 contracts. Equity block. GE. 195,000 shares. AAL. 22 calls. April 23, 2021. 1. Oxy. 40 calls. January 21, 2022. AAPL 130 puts. May 21, 2021. SQ 235 puts. April 23, 2021. 591 contracts. T30 calls. April 23, 2021. 1000 contracts. FCX 38 calls. June 18, 2021. 1391 contracts. PLBY 60 calls. July 16, 2021. 287 contracts. DIA 337 puts. April 23, 2021. BA 275 calls. July 16, 2021. 489 contracts. CCL 25 calls. April 30th, 2021. 500 contracts. M16 calls. April 23rd, 2021. 500 contracts. M16 calls. April 23rd, 2021. 509 contracts. INTC 56 puts. May 21st, 2021. 1,650 contracts. Plug 25 calls. April 23rd, 2021. 4,191 contracts. VIAC 45 calls. May 21st, 2021. 694 contracts. KO 54 calls. April 23rd, 2021. 1,000. SDC 11 calls. May 21st, 2021. 500 contracts. Mile 10 calls. May 21st, 2021. 553 contracts. AMZN 3,400 calls. April 23rd, 2021. NFLX 505 puts. April 23rd, 2021. FB 305 calls. April 30th, 2021. 5 TME 27 calls. January 21st, 2022. FB 305 calls. April 30th, 2021. 1 SOS 15 calls. August 20th, 2021. 3,800 contracts. SLB 32 calls. August 20th, 2021. 9,000. SLB 32 calls. August 20th, 2021. AMRS 22 calls. June 18th, 2021. IO 2 calls. May 21st, 2021. 850. Uber 58 calls. April 23rd, 2021.
Okay, well, at least we took some partial action. We
FB,
stopped dead on a dime here with
305
the
calls.
Russell Day 3.
April
Is it
30th,
a lower open?
2021.
Well, at least we took action on as close as possible
Uber,
to a lower open as I
58 calls.
without seeing
April
where things were going to
23rd,
go.
2021.
So let's see. We've
FB,
got
305 calls.
what
April
I gotta tell you,
30th,
man,
2021.
buying opportunities where?
AMRS 22 calls.
To be honest with
June
you,
18th, 2021.
wait until we get
518
a
contracts.
clear, better signal on the SPY above a falling MA. That would be one. We
Equity
are
block.
working on a PPS buy
VXX
signal for a 60 minute, but it's
911,769 shares.
9:52. It's not 11:30. That's a big difference. I could be wrong there, but at this point, what I would say is that rather than I'm not adding to any
229
longs right this second, I'm in
April
defensive
23rd,
mode.
2021.
We don't really have a really big thing going on here. We're
2,791
up
contracts.
0.7%, or excuse me, 0.2% in the SPY with 390, a strong AD line. But if you take a look, Seagate Technologies, last I checked, was up like 27 cents. That could slip in a dime. IBM, for example, it's up $1.67. That's okay too. People want to buy into that, knock themselves out. It's IBM. I don't think this is IBM's year that others believe, but what do I know? And I'm just basing it on technicals. So bottom line is I'm not really all that impressed with I don't want to call it a dead cat bounce, but consumer staples yesterday did get a bid. Utilities have gotten a bid. I'm still bullish the market. I just don't know if there's something I want to add to right now other than buying back liquidating the long put on Citi, jamming a stop in and surviving that
AAL.
trade, which was nice, right?
22 calls. April
Let's see, what else
23rd,
do we got?
2021.
Insight. I'm not a fan of why it won't go up. This could be a little bit dead. Yesterday,
22
Insight had a
calls.
nice high close doji
April
breakout. It
23rd,
closed greater than,
2021.
say, its monthly high.
1,462
And
contracts.
it is above the open range, but it's both above its weekly open range. It's both above its monthly open range. It needed to have some follow through, and I'd like to see that sector, whether it's Regeneron, whether it's Biogen. I'd like to see a little bit more, even though Regeneron is up right now, $2.86. I'd like to see a little bit more participation in that space.
AMD.
The airline
86
sector.
calls. April
they beat
30th, 2021.
Man, they just beat the dickens out of it. I just feel bad. I was a casualty in American Airlines.
21
But,
calls.
we
April
got
30th,
stopped out higher than where it
2021.
is, and no matter where your stop was, it could have
759
been even
contracts.
uglier. We did stop at a monthly pivot support. It actually broke through it by about 30 cents on a $20 stock. That's 1.5%. I would have to tell you truthfully, I'm going to stick with JetBlue. Gold miners, the dollar. I don't even want to get into that relationship because you can do your own math. If you take a look
Plug.
at gold
26 calls.
and you take a look at the dollar
April
index
23rd,
and you'd say what
2021.
numbnuts comes up and writes these
593
stupid articles,
contracts.
you'll see that their gold is up $9 today, and the dollar is up 17 cents. It's supposed to be the opposite, right? So when they say gold's down and gold was, and the dollar, that was, again, just case in point, slow news day. Not to believe the headline news, or at least get that inside of your mind. There's inflation. I think gold still has value. Platinum has
Equity
value.
block.
And you know where I stand with
G.
silver. Therefore,
200,000
I
shares.
am all right with the GDXJ junior miners trade still. If anyone's not in that, I'm not sure how to get you in that because that particular instrument is fairly volatile. So we'll see where it closes for the week. But I think if I had my druthers, there's an
CLF
old
16
stock that we
calls.
were in. It's
April
called
30th,
Pan America
2021.
Silver. And that's
500
also pretty
contracts.
violent and volatile.
BA.
Those are just volatile markets. You need
235
bigger
calls.
risks on those. And I'd like to
April
see lower
23rd,
risks, to be honest with you.
2021. 251 contracts.
And I'd like to see at least some kind of a momentum play, and I just don't have any right now. Netflix, all right, it's down 7%, $42. It's now back down to where it was just the week before, 4 weeks ago. Excuse me, 4 weeks ago. It was trading
SNDL.
at around
2 calls.
490.
July
it's at the base
16th,
of a trading range
2021.
below 501
1,000
on
contracts.
just to give you an idea. 496.68 on the weekend,
Equity
the
block.
week of March 26th.
CPRI.
And here we are at
399,000
507,
shares.
bottom end of the range. Not sure I would get that excited about that. What am I excited about? I thought Amazon would be a little overbought. It's at the top end of its range, but I can't sell Amazon up here. I don't have a weekly sell signal. Stick with what we got. Pot stocks, Tilray got whacked and walloped yesterday. The whole pot sector, that is setting up for an interesting convergence. I would like to see a buy. Here's the convergence on Tilray if you're interested in the pot stocks. So just remember, I'm sometimes early or the markets overshoot the runway. Here's the histogram. Here's my volume indicator. You could clearly see the market over the last 2 days. It blew out on no volume. That is right there. If you take a look, if we can get a buy signal out of this would be
May 21st,
more than likely
2021.
the dump before a pump in
750
Tilray. So, but I would like to see a buy signal.
NCLH.
And so we'll watch for
30 calls.
an end-of-day buy
April
signal in
30th,
Tilray. So I'm just
2021.
going through a couple things that I'm looking for right now.
SOS.
Kids. All right,
4
we do
calls.
have a market recovery.
April
I think hopefully
23rd,
we did the right thing with
2021.
Citi. We didn't go short in the hole. I kept you from
1,250
selling in the hole yesterday. I didn't get you long anything because we're already long. I think ConAgra
block.
with soybeans near $15.
OCTM.
If they can't make money, the
181,800
CEO
shares.
should go to jail for embezzlement, maybe. I don't want to spread that rumor on the internet, but maybe that should be like, what's these guys' problems? Or is it a delayed reaction because no one wants to invest in them because they all want to be in Bitcoin? I'm not sure. But we're getting paid. It's doing okay. Let's just stay with it. Andy's going to probably ask me about Intel. I'm not going to talk about it until Friday. So, Andy, I don't want to be a jerk, but I know you ask me about it every day.
TSLA.
I think Intel still,
710
again,
calls.
the promise
April
with Intel is
23rd,
longer term.
2021.
If you're in an option, it's
Equity block.
we're running out of daylight
OMC.
savings time. If it's a stock, it's got dividend. I still
229,900
think longer
shares.
term Intel looks great. Bottom line, it's on our chart. It hasn't gone anywhere. Unfortunately, it needs to get above pivot, and if it does, then you'll be saying, okay, this looks better. Where do I add? So, and I'm just joking around with you, Andy.
Equity block.
If we can break out of what was the low and the last
500,000
conditional
shares.
change and back above the daily pivot, if we can do
Baba.
that on a 60-minute
200
basis,
puts.
it's getting a PPS buy.
September
That would be a good
17th,
add-on spot if we
2021.
can then turn the pivot,
300
which was acting as
contracts.
resistance, and it turns into support after a 2-3 day correction. That's all I'm saying. Yes, I know. Thank you for knowing I'm just busting your balls. Just a little bit. I have to do it with somebody. Anyway, there we have it. Wow. Someone put the green light on the buys. I think we're all right. We had one casualty this week, and that was American Airlines. All right. I'll see you in a bit. Or hopefully the week ain't over, so hopefully Citi gets his ass out of into gear and moves up. What else do we got going on? Let's see. Yeah, nothing's really up. I'm not claiming, and there's no victories here at all.
AAPL.
U.S. Bancorp's down.
135 calls.
There's
April
down 3
23rd,
cents.
2021.
There really are no
IDEX.
major victories here,
2
except
calls.
for if you were
May 21st,
if you came in
2021.
short today on Netflix. That
Equity
would be
block.
about the only real victory.
FTCH. 150,000
That I see.
shares.
No, that's about as harsh as I get with you, Andy. That's tempting fate, man. I just don't do it. You're a New Yorker. You got, you've got. I've only got a master's degree in ball busting. You've got a PhD. So I just want to make sure I don't rub you the wrong way, because it'll be retribution. No good deed goes unpunished, or something like that. Or no. Anyway, I'll stop talking.
TME. 17 calls. April 23rd, 2021. 700. UWMC. 7 calls. May 21st, 2021. 1,580 contracts. Equity block. BSX. 195,329 shares. Equity block. Knoll 448,914 shares. BB. 8 calls. April 23rd, 2021. 1,000 contracts. LAZR. 20 calls. June 18th, 2021. TME. 18 calls. April 23rd, 2021. Equity block. GSAH. 250,000 shares. VIAC. 37 puts. April 23rd, 2021. 500. BB. 8 calls. April 23rd, 2021. LAZR. 23 calls. May 21st, 2021. 2,000 contracts. Equity block. PSTH. 250,000 shares. NGD. 2 calls. May 21st, 2021. 2,000 BB. 8 calls. April 30th, 2021. 900. BB. 8 calls. April 30th, 2021. 620. NA. 12 calls. May 21st, 2021. 5. TME. 17 calls. April 23rd, 2021. TDOC. 185 calls. April 23rd. SPY. 419 calls. May 5th, 2021. AAPL. 125 puts. April 30th, 2021. Equity block. XLF. 549,500 shares. Equity block. RE 127,5000 shares. TME. 18 calls. April 23rd, 2021. 606. GOGL. 7 calls. May 21st, 2021. 776 contracts. TME. 17 calls. April 23rd, 2021. 900 and GM 63 calls. May 14th, 2021. BAC. 44 calls. August 20th, 2021. Equity block. FTCH. 350,000 shares. SKLZ. 15 calls. April 23rd, 2021. 300. SKLZ. 15 calls. April 23rd, 2021. SKX. 45 puts. April 23rd, 2021. AMZN. 3,350 calls. April 23rd. AAPL. 140 calls. June 18th, 2021. IYR. 100 calls. May 21st, 2021. AAPL. 125 puts. June 18th, 2021. Equity block. VXX 1 million shares. AAPL. 125 puts. April 30th, 2021. 682 contracts. Equity block. SCHP. 321,497 shares. GOGL. 12 calls. December 17th, 2021. 560 contracts. SRAC. 15 calls. August 20th, 2021. 500. SRAC. 15 calls. August 20th, 2021. 600 contracts. MVIS. 35 calls. August 20th, 2021. 500. SRAC. 15 calls. August 20th, 2021. Equity block. LU. 150,000 shares. DDOG. 90 calls. April 23, 2021. 300 contracts. DDOG. 90 calls. April 23, 2021. 200 and equity block. SDS. 250,000 shares. Riot. 37 calls. April 23, 2021. 199 contracts. Lee 17 puts. May 21, 2021. 2,100 contracts. NA. 15 calls. July 16, 2021. 7. Equity block. NIO. 525,700 shares. LUMN. 13 calls. May 28, 2021. 500. Ms. 81 calls. May 21, 2021. 1,632 contracts. MLCO. 19 calls. July 16, 2021. 1,000. MLCO. 19 calls. July 16, 2021. 552 contracts. IQ. 12 puts. June 18, 2021. 1,051. Riot. 45 calls. April 23, 2021. 784 contracts. NIO. 33 puts. May 21, 2021. 2,000 MLCO. 19 calls. July 16, 2021. 800 contracts. AAL. 21 puts. April 23, 2021. 6. Plug. 27 calls. April 23, 2021. IQ. 12 puts. June 18, 2021. 946 contracts. Plug. 27 calls. April 23, 2021. 500 contracts. Equity Block. SDS. 250,000 shares. Equity Block. EEM. 537,399 shares. Equity Block. CCJ. 198,900 shares. Equity Block, IWM, 115-1108 shares. AAPL, 133 calls. April 30, 2021. AAPL, 132 calls. April 23, 2021. AAL, 20 calls. November 19, 2021. CPE 38 calls. May 21, 2021. 547 contracts. Equity Block, PCG, 220,292 shares. Equity Block, KRC, 609,450 shares. Equity Block, BSX, 467,810 shares. Equity Block, EEM, 933,000 shares. NFLX, 520 calls. April 23, 2021. Equity Block, Cold, 250,000 shares. EEM, 54 calls. May 21, 2021. 500. Equity Block, Cold, 200,000 shares. XOM, 62 calls. June 18, 2021. 1,687 contracts. XOM, 62 calls. June 18, 2021. 551 contracts. Equity Block, VGT, 250,000 shares. MLCO, 19 calls. May 21, 2021. 1,101 contracts. Equity block. Hein. 150,000 shares. CNR. 17 calls. May 21, 2021. 1. Vale. 21 calls. May 21, 2021. 500. C72 calls. May 21, 2021. 500 contracts. Equity block. PCG. 150,000 shares. NFLX. 510 calls. April 23, 2021. 178 contracts. AAPL. 132 calls. April 23, 2021. Equity block. Hein. 150,000 shares. C72 calls. June 18, 2021. 735 contracts. C72 calls. June 18, 2021. 5,092 contracts. CRWD. 212 calls. April 23, 2021. 150 contracts. ARKK. 118 calls. May 7, 2021. 729 contracts. PRTY. 7 calls. January 21, 2022. 675 contracts. QCOM. 135 puts. May 21, 2021. 778 contracts. ASXC. 10 calls. January 21, 2022. 700 contracts. Equity Block, ICSH, 302,915 shares. RETA, 110 calls. May 21, 2021. MDLZ, 60 calls. May 21, 2021. 5,754 contracts. GDX, 37 puts. May 14, 2021. 500 contracts. Equity Block, FTOC, 150,000 shares. F11 puts. April 23, 2021. 1,973 contracts. Equity Block, CHWY, 250,000 shares. Equity Block, IGSB, 430,313 shares. BIDU, 240 calls. May 21, 2021. CNR, 17 calls. May 21, 2021. 1,091 contracts. MDLZ, 60 calls. June 18, 2021. 624 contracts. WB, 56 calls. May 21, 2021. 1,000. Equity Block, VTIP, 750,274 shares. AAPL, 130 puts. April 23, 2021. WB, 56 calls. May 21, 2021. T29 puts. June 18, 2021. 594 WB, 48 calls. May 21, 2021. 1,405 contracts. Equity Block, PGRE, 196,900 shares. VIPs. 27 calls. April 30th, 2021. 4,000. Equity block. PCG. 250,000 shares. Equity block. PCG. 150,000 shares.
All right. By the way, pullbacks here would be in order. That's
Equity
a
block.
160-minute bar
IBM.
breakout.
2 million
The
shares.
Qs didn't really see a big breakout, by the way. The advanced decline is pretty strong. It's a good day overall. Smart move on Citi so far. Intel should break and get back again. What do we want to see? We don't want to just see a 60-minute PPS buy, even though it's a high closed doji. It's got a long tail to it. We want to see follow through, and we want to start to see, at least for me, I want to see the pivot act as a low of the day, not as a high or a resting spot, so to speak. So that's my 2 cents there. Schlumberger, we are
PFE.
on our add-in
41
down
clicks.
and out just a tad. We're
May
at,
21st,
again,
2021.
25.80, and it
600
looks pretty promising there.
BAC.
Kinder Morgan
38
looks
calls.
special to me.
April 23rd,
Kinder Morgan,
2021.
which we've been in for
694
swing trade,
contracts.
way beyond its time, way beyond its time. But we've literally not done anything since, again, back in the for almost more than 2 weeks. I mean, I can't really get out of a trade if it's still looking good. And this, to me, is a breakout, by the way. So when I look at a volume, and again, I just want everyone to understand, I never say on balance volume is bad. I just say my indicator's a little better. But I want to point out, if volume precedes price, then this is a breakout. And we should be watchful for the fact that finally Kinder Morgan is breaking out in decent volume. And that sell off, 2 things that I like about Kinder Morgan.
35 puts.
A, in the
April
last couple
23rd,
days, the stock
2021.
market sold off. Kinder Morgan really
815
didn't go
contracts.
anywhere. In fact, the relative strength was still better. Even though it weakened, it was still better than the S&Ps, and then it started to improve. Yesterday, today we opened lower and
May
just shot up
21st,
bat out of hell.
2021.
So I'm a big fan of Kinder Morgan's chart
contracts.
pattern and condition of how it's trading here, and we should see. I mean, nothing's ever 100% guaranteed, but we should see a continuation to the upside out of this pattern. So sideways trading range with improved relative strength on near-term volume. Let's go and change this over to a daily and say, well, what does it look like? Well, we don't know yet because the day ain't over, but that, my friends, was a doji, and a close greater than, say, doji in a sideways range is fairly positive. If the volume can kick into high gear, the relative strength is improving on a daily basis. This is a sideways trade. A sideways trading range after a strong uptrend. So my guess is that the longer the sideways, the bigger the breakout, and I would have the supposition that this should do pretty well. Once again, weekly volume is off the freaking charts, and so we have higher time frame weekly analysis. By the way, right now we're greater in volume than when we were at this
Equity
level
block.
up here. So
AIG.
we're in against a weekly buy signal, rising MAs
shares.
after a consolidation, and we should see a breakout ensue on Kinder Morgan I would expect pretty soon. I don't want to say like
Equity
now,
block.
today, this week, but
SPY.
let's face it, it would be
306,000
nice. Let's take a look and using I wanted to use a little bit longer than 3 months, but here's your monthly. We're still in a positive monthly Buy signal, rising MAs. It basically, we just pause, giving a chance for maybe the moving averages to kind of catch up to price. Volume certainly supports on a higher time frame equity price valuation. So I'm still good with Kinder Morgan in that regard. So that's my 2 cents. So Kinder Morgan, it looks like somebody started to like Kinder Morgan
Equity
over
block.
yesterday's dip
Ease.
because, man, that was, if you think about it,
280,511 shares.
this is a convergence of biblical proportion. Not biblical, but I mean, it's a 3-day downside action. The close was less than where it was, and the volume was higher. And then, therefore, you got follow through. So there ain't no way I want it. There ain't no time for the summertime blues. There ain't no time to be selling Kinder Morgan yet unless these dynamics change dramatically. The dynamics would be volume, relative strength, and the market fails off of this pivot analysis and sideways range. And then we got, well, that's what stops are for. Not sissies, but for trailing something in this regards. ConAgra, same story. Williams, same story. What else? I got
Equity
nothing
block.
else. That's it. I thought Citi.
418,000
I think that
shares.
was the right play, the smart play. Is it? Let's take a look if it's going to give us the same type of mojo, so to speak.
Equity block.
And I mean, if you take a look at
VRM.
on-balance volume, you'd go, and I'm
210,000
not sure
shares.
if anyone's curious, but if you were curious and you'd ask,
Equity
gee,
block.
John, how come the stock
Sale.
went down, right? And there's no volume behind it. Isn't
247,731
that
shares.
spooky? And I'd say, yes, it seems like
FCX.
somebody might have had stops
36
underneath that
calls.
low. And
May
this morning flow were
21st,
open, they went and got
2021.
stopped out, and now the market's back up. By the time they figure out they got
LAZR.
stopped out, they're going to say,
19
well, I'll
calls.
look at it later.
May
Why? 'Cause it's
21st,
even happened to me.
2021.
But we are seeing a huge volume accumulation
1,387
in Citi.
contracts.
Volume is right back to where this stock was when it was at $73. So, take the money out of the
LAZR. 18 calls. April
put a stop
23rd,
in the market,
2021.
and now you made money on the option hedge, and you're
632
back to
contracts.
almost break even on the stock position. So everything should be hunky dory and just dandy, hopefully there. So anyway, we have on KMI is after the close today, Joe. Halliburton was this morning. Tomorrow is Alaskan, American, AT&T, Dow, Component, Love, another airline, which is Southwest, Tractor Supply, Valero. After the close, Andy, Intel on Thursday,
Equity
Seagate,
block.
Snap,
QQQ.
Skechers.
967,569 shares.
They're pretty good golf shoes, except for Matt Kuchar's I think was one of their sponsored him. And Matt Kuchar,
Equity block.
I'm not sure he's got the
IEF.
greatest image on the PGA Tour. I think he's lost since
619,560
he
shares.
stiffed that caddy in Mexico on a win. And he's just really struggled. And I don't know, does anyone want to follow Matt Kuchar on the golf course? No. Right? I mean, Ricky Fowler's kind of losing his edge. But the bottom line is you associate winners with apparel. And so
April 23rd, 2021.
The whole thing, if Jordan Spieth could have won a couple more tournaments in a row and really kicked some ass, I mean, I think Under Armour would finally get, paid off for their sponsorship of what they've done for Jordan Spieth. I mean, they put that kid, we only want you in our product. Here's a check, head to toe, hat, shoes, socks, underwear, jock strap, everything. Under Armour. That's it, pal. And so therefore, he doesn't wear like an advertisement like some of these other guys have to, right? Anyway, but who wants to wear Under Armour when the guy's not winning? It's kind of a thing. People seem to follow the winners. That's why Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods, Nike is such a powerhouse. They back the right players. Anyway, I didn't mean to go on a small tangent there, but I did
April 30th,
nonetheless.
2021.
Kimberly Clark is on Friday, American Express Friday,
block.
Regions Financial,
BP
and the one position we have,
500,000 shares.
Schlumberger, right over here is Friday. So let's take a look at Schlumberger, SLB, maximize sell.
RLGY. 12 puts. September 17th,
So the volume has not
2021.
been great on Schlumberger.
Equity block.
But
RSI. 470,000 shares.
But there is a
Equity
but.
block. CLNY.
Weekly, the volume can be explained as
shares.
it's weak because the stock's been down. I get that.
Equity block.
The question now
BP
begs,
500,000
is it
shares.
good enough to be holding and buying this dip in here? And the answer to me was
SPY.
yes. I mean, my longer term work
422
said
calls.
that this should be
April
pretty decent.
28th, 2021.
And obviously,
Equity
if
block.
it can maintain its
ATH
check here we go.
166,959
If
shares.
we can maintain its support into this zone, that's why I didn't even think it would get there, thus the 2580 bid on the 50%. I wasn't buying the high. I wasn't buying a small pullback. I want to
JMIA.
average in.
30
This
calls.
is a stock that also should do
April
quite
30th,
well in the
2021.
coming weeks ahead. Time frame, let's change this up and
2,485
go to a
contracts.
month. Okay. So high close doji, it pulled back mid-range, and we should see some follow through. If we don't, we're out. That's the end of the story. Yeah, an old high, it's comes into old highs. It broke out. It tested the point of breakout. It's pulling back, and that's the entry. And if we can get this thing with some relatively good earnings, or at least not a bad miss, and it holds, this has got some massive upside in the coming couple weeks, or at least into June. So 6 weeks out. That's all I'm asking us to hold on to. 6 weeks more.
CLF 17 calls. April 23rd, 2021. 908
checking, and let's go back
Jenny.
to 1 hour. And that's
17
my story
calls.
there.
July 16th,
All right, what else you
2021.
got? We talked about Insight. We talked about
AMD.
City already. I don't have to
83
go
calls.
USB. It's
May
regional banks
21st,
got beat the crap
2021.
yesterday. They're up. We don't have a lot of exposure there, but we are in banks.
CLF 20 calls.
We have no tanks.
January
We have
21st,
ag with
2022.
ConAgra. We have probably maybe
1,632
too many
contracts.
energy, but these aren't oil producers. These are service providers. Pipeline, etc., which is what we need. And I mean, with crude oil trading at $62, not 30,
BTRS.
not 50, not
13
58. I mean,
May
this is sweet
21st,
spot.
2021.
Anyway, that's my 2
1,000
cents. SPXL now
FSR.
long, SPY
12
short.
calls.
That's mixed signals.
April 23rd,
One will get stopped out.
2021.
One will make money. One will
500
get stopped out
contracts.
with a trailing stop function soon, and SPXL will be making money. Bitcoin was short. It is short. It's was up a little bit. It's not doing squat. It's unchanged on GBTC, and that's the day. What
Equity
else do I
block.
got?
USRG.
Coinbank. Listen to me, it ain't Coinbank. What is it? It's called
858,657 shares.
Coinbase. Coinbank, Coinbase, Coin Dealer. Person, get it right. Coinbase, 314. 15-minute volume looks pretty special. It's below daily pivot. I prefer it to get back above pivot. I can't do anything with Coinbase on higher time frame analysis because there is none. So it's all basically 5-minute and 15-minute trading. That's all I can base anything on. And when a daily
LYFT.
action is below
62 calls.
daily pivot, I can't
April
buy
23rd,
a stock
2021.
at its pivot. when it's still
500
below
contracts.
pivot. So that's that. Roblex is, in my humble opinion, it just is.
10. 85 calls. May
It's one I gave
21st,
in the. I gotta get that
2021.
into the newsletter.
1,000
I do. It's a
contracts.
long-term holding, though. Everything seems to be long-term holding, though. Today is a recovery on ARC. I would say Kathy Woods is getting a real, kind of a good boost today on some of her stuff. Invitae is up 4.79%, but bottom line, it's down 30%. So I mean, 10 to 1 or the other. I can't get into that trade either. Because the
LVS.
dynamics of the monthly and the
61
weekly don't look
calls.
great. She might be
April
accumulating
30th,
positions in
2021.
Vitae and VTA is a symbol.
1,134
Longer term is a
contracts.
swing trade, maybe 3, 4, 5 weeks out. That trade still looks to me slightly ugly. So that's where we stand there. Palantir, the goofy science guy, it's in monthly, weekly, daily sell mode. I can't get into that either. Stitch Fitch, Space, Virgin Galactic. I mean, all those things are up mildly today. Bumblebee, the hookup app. We never heard back from Wesley if it's an app that works well. Of course, Wesley doesn't want to tell us on an open mic. His girlfriend might be hearing it. What else do we got? That's it. I got, let's see. Everything that we're in is seeing a good recovery. We may have escaped death on Nordstrom's. This should be a buy. In my humble opinion,
NXPI.
if it gets back
215 calls. April 30th,
if Nordstrom's gets
2021.
back above its
Equity
monthly
block.
opening range,
SPY.
we better be super long and make sure you're in it, because
251,136
after
shares.
that type of action where it opened,
NXPI.
traded lower, came right
200
down
calls.
to the rising monthly
May 21st,
MAs.
2021. 9 equity block. MDLZ.
Opens, trades down, goes right to the rising
201,754
MAs
shares.
and doesn't take out its low and sees a recovery. If we get a weekly close greater than monthly open print, this sucker's going to fly. That's my 2 cents on Nordstrom's. I'm not going to put out false hope, but we are generating a daily PPS
NIO.
alert right now.
38
And I
calls.
think yesterday's hammer
April
was a good
23rd,
sign that we should have
2021.
survived, and I hope we did.
530
So this
contracts.
is everything pretty much USB. It's not really doing anything. Insight, PayPal didn't get, 258.80. Geez, person. That's got to mean something. Who's skanking us on our orders? 258.80 is the number, and we have
Equity
an
block.
intraday low of 259.27. No offense, that's 47 cents on a $200,
172,582 shares.
$65 stock.
Equity
That's
block.
like, who's skanking my
GTO.
newsletter? That's all I want to know.
200,000 shares.
You can't make stuff like this up. Boy, that's a pisser. I'm just talking out loud in real language. You might say something else, and when I turn the mic off, I'm going to say something more, but we're not going to say it on an open mic because it's probably not smart. Anyway, I'm trying to work on some other
calls.
things, and it's moving
July
along,
16th,
and we are doing great
2021.
with the
1,000
JPAM
contracts. Equity
finalization,
block.
and that's working out,
EWJ.
thank God.
127,
What else do I got going on?
8311 shares.
Equity
Let's
block.
see.
No new problems with anyone in their workspaces. Everything's
200,000
good.
shares.
Market's okay, and it's safe for now. God bless you, and God bless America.
VIAC.
So I'll see you in just a bit.
40 calls.
Thanks for listening, and
April
hang in there.
23rd, 2021. 7
Small little
equity block.
correction. I
IBM.
wish I was able to take better
200,000
advantage
shares.
of it. But we're already in stuff. And more importantly, I think if this does improve, we should see some really sharp stuff. Watch your pot sector today. I think yesterday was a washout, a wash and rinse. By the way, one of our members likes Curaleaf. I can't remember who, but Curaleaf, by the way, look where it stopped,
INTC.
dead on a
66
dime,
calls.
right at a
April
last
30th,
conditional change
2021.
support. If it does not
670
manage
contracts.
to close this week below that line in the sand, Curaleaf has some good insights. It's formed a doji today, maybe long hammer. Watch again if we can get the daily price above a moving average. That's when we can go with it.
AAPL.
We also want to see the market
132
maintain
puts.
above
April
daily pivots
23rd,
as it's doing right
2021.
now. That's Curaleaf.
511 contracts.
I made my bed with Tilray. I turned you guys on to what's not working, MedMen. I didn't say go crazy. This is the retail outlet that could be like one of these days. I think MedMen, every one of these charts look the same.
ORCL.
Breakdown, hit support.
77 calls.
They're all against, it's
April
all tied in.
23rd, 2021.
Which one do you like?
Equity block.
Pick your bed and make
ZTO.
it. Zinnerby Pharmaceuticals might have a high close doji
170,300
from
shares.
today. We'd pay attention to that. Zinnerby Pharmaceutical. I gave 3 stocks this year. GWPH got bought out, and like a week later, it was up 40%. Jazz Pharmaceutical. Tilray, which we already did pretty well. I'm stalking it. I haven't put the A-OK, and Zynerbe Pharmaceutical, which had a huge ass run. And what I'd have to say is I'm still a fan of Zynerbe Pharmaceuticals if it generates a buy and a close of above a high close doji. It's in pretty special initiation of a new position if you're interested. Let's see, what else do I got up my sleeve? Pretty much anything that's still in a weekly buy I want to go with. ADP, I mean, employment's doing better. People are going to be doing payroll. I mean, that makes sense. Square, PayPal, that just pisses. I just wanted to bring it to your attention. I was too busy with the Citi stupid trade, but that was a trade we had on and not a trade I wanted to put on. There's a big difference. Roblox, I mean, it almost looks as if it's the same type of action.
Equity block.
I don't want to say manipulated and
ISTB.
contrived markets, but it almost looks the same as the pot sector stocks I just showed you, straight down, lingering, and up. I mean, maybe I'm looking at things too much, but what about these guys in Facebook? I'm not. What was strong calls. Should weaken. What was weak
April
should strengthen.
2021.
Does that mean back in on Win? I'm watching Win, but no, not yet. It just Win lost its.
May 21st,
Win got the wind sucked out of it.
1,000 contracts.
And it's my bad on that one. I don't want to say I backed the wrong horse, but MGM could certainly, just as a reminder, they own Las Vegas, Aria, City Center, online gaming. If there was a time that they could go up, if you remember back in 6 and 7, the peak of equity rise, I don't know if they'll get there, but boy, I would not want to not be in the casino as far as consumer discretionary. When entertainment opens up, rather than buying Live Nation, rather than buying something, you better be MGM. You've got football, the Raiders. You've got hockey. You've got the Knights. You've got entertainment, MGM Grand. You got
April
this, that, every Tom, Dick, and Harry. These guys are going to be filling up room, and MGM is going to be the entertainer, and they're going to own it.
35
they're going to own it. Anyway, so Wynn should have done well by now. I thought MGM was a little overbought, but I don't want to talk bad about either one. I'll just say that I kind of fudged, and I will be watching MGM closely now. I know.
April 23rd, 2021. 500.
If you don't think there's inflation,
CCL
go to the grocery store,
calls.
buy some bread.
April 23rd,
other than that, if you
2021.
don't think I don't know what happened.
Contracts.
No one liked the airlines. They got washed and rinsed. We got hosed on American. Okay, fine. We got stopped out. We still got JetBlue destination. I still want to be in the JetBlue. What else? What else do I want to say? This came close. I'm not sure we're going to get unscathed, but I just hope that was enough. And they are cheap enough. And if you notice what they did, quarterly pivot right there, came back. I didn't think it was going to do that bad, but this might be one that we want to. If this weekly sell signal negates, it's kind of like the S&Ps. It was a mini low close doji. It came down to its 1-to-1 risk reward ratio, and if it negates that weekly sell, we want to be probably more exposed on the airlines. My guess. We got our bed made with Insight Pharmaceutical. It's up, and I already addressed that. And that's it. That's today. The good news is we said there'd be a little bit of a pullback. The better news is the market did. The greater news is I said did not get short in the hole. And now we looked at the market in a good recovery. It broke out 2 hours above that little, let's say, equal and opposite that it's been struggling against, which is 41.30. It should work out well. We've got another 29 minutes to figure that out. Yeah, thanks for that post, Andy. People have been flying almost, I mean, you've seen the TSA, air traffic's been going nuts.
BAC.
Okay, I think a lot of people are
39
like,
calls.
yeah, okay,
April
Dr. Fauci,
23rd,
yeah, we believe you.
2021.
Blah, blah, blah. Hey, book me on a
658
flight. I wanna get
contracts.
out of town. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what people are saying and people are doing are two different things. Yeah, okay, I'll wear 2 masks.
Team.
Sure, I will. Yeah, right. Okay. Hey, Mom,
240
Dad, I'm
calls.
coming down to Florida and visiting
September
you. I don't
17th,
got any extra masks. So
2021.
is that okay?
Equity
It is?
block.
Okay, coming down.
PPL.
Just throwing that out there.
162,000
You know, one of
shares.
the most ludicrous things I've ever heard of as far
Equity
as
block.
logic and as far as a
ZTO.
logical thing. You got guys sitting at the bar and they don't need a mask
195,200
talking,
shares.
spewing, I guess, fluids out their mouth. Why? Because they're drinking, right? Wet mouth. But when you walk into the restaurant, you need your mask on. But the guys sitting over there at the bar, they're standing at the bar. They're not sitting either. And people sitting down, it's just the whole logic thing doesn't make sense. How is the mask going to help me to walk in your door at a restaurant and walk 4 feet to a table, and then I get to take the mask off at the table? And you can't tell me because, oh, the guy standing up is 6 foot tall and sitting down, you're 4 feet up off the air. And none of that makes sense either. It's in the air or it's not in the air. Anyway, it's just insanity and of where we're at. But thank God. And by the way, there is a video I'll post in the room about why the Johnson & Johnson vaccine and the technology is so cool. And that's why I think we ought to be looking at long-term Johnson & Johnson. But that's a story for another day. Johnson & Johnson, if you haven't done the study there. Oh, and by the way, Johnson & Johnson is going to form a weekly high-close doji after multiple weeks. And this is a stock, man, they survived the baby powder deal. This is another stock that I think we ought to be in and be watchful for is Johnson & Johnson. Is it today? You know, I'd be honest with you. I would. I would pray for a little pullback, and maybe I'll do a newsletter only because of the way the momentum changed quickly. Yesterday, we got an upside. The long-term monthly is doing,
325
long-term monthly
calls.
volume's doing phenomenal.
April 30th,
It's supporting
2021.
Can Johnson & Johnson
500
reach
contracts.
new heights? I don't think it's blown up yet. And I mean, this could be a $185 to $200 stock. And I mean that. And if you watch the video, you may be interested in saying, you know what, maybe if we break out Friday or we stay above or right at this range, it might be a good trade to buy and place a stop just not underneath that low, because that's what's going to keep everyone out of this trade. They're going to say, well, I bought it and I put my stop underneath the low and it stopped me out. And now I'm going to get in again and I have to put my stop there. No, I don't think so. And this time around, I think you could put the stop or maybe go with a small position, like a 50% size position, and then put a small stop or an add-on somewhere near the weekly opening range. Kind of
TME.
scale it in over time.
18 puts.
That's just
May
my 2 cents
21st,
on Johnson & Johnson.
2021.
You have trend, a
833
wider
contracts.
consolidation, and if you go A, B, C, D-Wave is somewhere up around, if you do the measurement with me, you're somewhere around 208. 198 to 200, excuse me. My math was off. I'm sorry. So from this point to this point, not the highs, not the extremes. If you just add that to the breakout, you're around, I don't know, somewhere up in this range. And to me, that looks very promising on Johnson & Johnson's from a chart
IQ.
pattern perspective.
12 puts. May 21st, 2021. 1,197 contracts.
Now, near term, I can't tell you to buy it this second. But the volume and the pivot, the whole pivot thing, if the blue is bullish and this one kind of got above us or past us, somewhere in another day or so, I would say a pullback 64-ish makes sense. That's only $2. So if you're gonna kind of kibitz around for $2, then buy a half position. And then, if it does go down, then you throw on your total position. But to me, I think that this makes sense to be a buyer some of this position on Johnson & Johnson, just from the not knowing anything about the company, just looking at the charts, the potential high close doji, and looking at that monthly. It is above its opening range. This thing looks like it's going to rock. The monthly opening OR is one of the big giveaways, not the short-term noise. That's my 2 cents. Do look for an email and on Johnson & Johnson, but let me post this if I could. I think you might be interested in the video. It's about 3 or 4 minutes.
Equity block. SLV. 400,000 shares.
Yeah, I don't have the link yet, so give me a minute.
NIO. 38 calls. April 23, 2021. 500. BIDU. 240 calls. May 21, 2021. SLB. 22 puts. January 20, 2023. 1. DIA. 337 puts. April 23, 2021. AMD. 85 calls. June 18, 2021. WB. 56 calls. May 21, 2021. WB. 50 calls. May 21, 2021. 1. WB. 56 calls. May 21, 2021. Equity block. Chicks. 917,825 shares. Plug. 25 calls. January 21, 2022. NMR. 5 puts. May 21, 2021. 917 contracts. RTP. 10 puts. June 18, 2021. 500 contracts. Equity block. HYG. 961,386 shares. OMC. 85 calls. June 18, 2021. 532 contracts. Equity block. NRZ. 500,469 shares. Equity block. HYG. 750,000 shares. Teva. 8 puts. September 17, 2021. 600, equity block. IQ. 500,000 shares. Equity block. AZN. 175,000 shares. IEF. 116 puts. May 21, 2021. 2,000 contracts. Equity block. AZN. 200,000 shares. Equity block. SJNK. 332,600 shares. Equity block. NRZ. 392,189 shares. Equity block. Government 304,800 shares. Equity block. Government 304,800 shares. Equity block. Government 304,800 shares. Equity block. Chicks. 917,825 shares. BMY. 66 calls. April 23, 2021. 7. BMY. 68 calls. April 23, 2021. 751 contracts. WB. 56 calls. May 21, 2021. 1,470 contracts. Equity block. Chicks. 911,051 shares. SQQQ. 11 puts. April 23, 2021. 800 contracts. HIMS. 10 puts. May 21, 2021. 500 contracts. Equity block. Dish. 412,100 shares. AAPL. 135 calls. April 30, 2021. AVGO. 500 calls. October 15, 2021. AAPL. 135 calls. April 30, 2021. 521 contracts. Equity block. Jets. 324,770 shares. Equity block. T 156,000 shares. AAPL. 133 puts. April 23, 2021. 506 contracts. AEO. 34 puts. April 30, 2021. 600 contracts. Equity block. Hope. 150,000 shares. Equity block. EQNR. 160,000 shares. ORCL. 77 calls. April 23, 2021. 500 contracts. Equity block. EQNR. 293,000 shares. SPY. 416 calls. April 23, 2021. Equity block. IBN. 350,000 shares. Equity block. AZN. 300,000 shares. FB. 305 calls. April 30, 2021. 500 contracts. Equity block. FXI. 750,000 shares. PLTR. 23 calls. April 30th, 2021. 600. Equity block. Ride. 200,000 shares. NIO. 36 puts. April 23rd, 2021. 500 contracts. Equity block. CHWY. 499,900 shares. Equity block. SSO. 345,108 shares. SPY. 416 calls. April 23rd, 2021. 500 contracts. Equity block. BKLN. 113,000 shares. INTC. 67 calls. April 23rd, 2021. 688 contracts. AMD. 70 puts. August 20th, 2021. 500 contracts. AAPL. 125 puts. April 30, 2021. 1,253 contracts.